I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
Today we're going to be talking about I miss my ex.
It's a hard feeling.
Yeah, I mean, being overwhelmed in a breakup constantly of missing somebody is just horrible.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that today.
Before we start, I did want to say that I am now available for coaching alongside Coach Craig and Coach Margaret. So if you would like to sign up for a one-on-one session, you can go to the website, click on our names at the top, and book a session from there.
Nice and easy to do. We're happy to help you. You know, missing your ex is one of the hardest parts of a breakup, and just constantly longing for that person and thinking about them and genuinely who they are as a person and that presence in your life. It's just so challenging and painful to, think about them every day and, really struggle with missing them. And so today we're going to talk about that in this video and explore some ideas and share some tips on what you can do, because what you're feeling is completely normal. Going through these, overwhelming amount of emotions is completely normal to go through. And when you're so close to somebody and connected to somebody so strongly and knowing them on such a deep level, it's so hard to not have that in your life anymore.
Exactly. So your mind and your body are trying to rationalize the fact that the person you were so connected with is not there anymore. And that can be really difficult. You were likely friends, and this can be one of the hardest parts of the breakup, that they were not only your romantic partner, but they served many roles in your life. They were your confidant, they were your supporter, your motivator, somebody that you could talk to and really trust.
Yep.
You're losing a lot of different roles. And that can be extremely difficult to make sense of.
Yeah.
And also on a physiological level and psychological level, your body is going through withdrawals. Most likely you had some sort of routine with this person. You would talk to them every day. You would say good morning. You would say good night. Your body becomes accustomed to those cycles, and it's very difficult to break. It's literally like breaking an addiction.
Yeah. I remember there were certain points to the day where I would have talked to my ex, and those moments would always bother me because it was like the same time every day. It's like, oh my gosh, it's 3:00. This would be the time I'd call them and see how their day is going.
Right.
Just to, a quick check-in and say hi or whatever.
And it's a very gut and primal reaction. We were talking about earlier that primal fear. That feeling of when you lose your parents at the grocery store when you're a kid and your stomach drops.
Yep.
And you just feel this intense fear. It's very similar in a breakup. You're losing that one person that you were connected with that makes you feel safe.
Yep.
So that can be very difficult. You might also be missing your ex out of fear of being single and fear of being alone. So this is important to talk about too, because this is dealing with issues that were pre-existing before the relationship started. And this can deal a lot with your own value, how you perceive yourself in the dating world. And so I did come across some research that I wanted to share with you all, and it's by a study by Stephanie Spielman, and she's incredible. I found tons of articles about breakups that were very interesting. So if you are curious about where this research comes from, I would highly encourage you to look her up. She's from Wayne State University.
Okay.
But in this particular article, her and a team of researchers studied the fear of being single in relation to longing for an ex. And what she found was that the greater your fear of being single, then the greater those feelings of longing for an ex, regardless of who initiated the breakup. Also regardless of how long ago the breakup was.
Interesting.
And also regardless of attachment style.
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
So I thought I would bring this up in talking about missing your ex, because those two things are very connected. A lot of times we can think that we're missing our ex, but we might be missing the idea of our ex. In fact, she goes on in the research to say that the fear of being single can lead people to cling more tightly to their ex and to act upon these feelings.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense, honestly. Yeah. And so that just goes to show you, like, when you really work on yourself and become more confident and secure, work through those attachment issues, you're going to naturally feel more confident to date other people.
Right. And it also brings up the point of the more that you miss your ex, it's not an indication or a sign to reach out to them. And it's also not an indication that your ex was a healthy match for you. Just because you're feeling that missing feeling for somebody doesn't mean that the relationship was healthy. Nor does it mean that you were ready for a relationship or they were. So those feelings are distinct from the realities of the dynamics of your relationship. And it's very important to separate those things to really identify what was going on, what went wrong, what issues you need to work on. And I'll also say that the study mentioned that continued longing for an ex-partner may be more about the search for any relationship rather than specifically your ex. So this is what I was talking about earlier with being more in love with the idea of somebody being there rather than the person themselves. So the study pointed out that those who fear being single unselectively pursue romantic partners by expressing romantic interest in lower quality dating prospects. The research didn't say what lower quality meant, but I'm sure you can fill in some of those blanks.
You probably find them on the Craigslist ads.
Maybe.
I'm not talking about my list, by the way. The other Craig.
Oh, yeah, that Craig. And it also says that they desire to stay in dissatisfying relationships. So this goes as a warning that missing your ex does not indicate that you should jump into just any relationship to get over that feeling. One
of the biggest things that we're saying with this research is you've got to get to a place where you're not afraid to be alone.
Yes.
Because if you are, it's going to lead to a whole bunch of problems. A whole bunch.
Right. And I think it's also important to note that this research highlights part of what your ex might be going through. Remember that this was regardless of who initiated the breakup. So your ex might be inclined to date some lower quality people. They might stay in a dissatisfying relationship after yours. So it's important to note these things too.
Yep. Yeah, interesting. And that just goes to show you that your ex might jump to, that they may leave you and jump to somebody new, not because there's something meaningful there, just that they're afraid to be alone.
They're being unselective.
So you really got to figure out if it's about your ex, the person, this particular person, or if there's something that's going on within you that you're just afraid to be alone that's really directing this. And that's really important to work through for yourself, because you can see all the problems that came from that one issue, right? So don't let this feeling of longing make you overlook what might really be going on and compromise who would be a good partner for you just because you're afraid to be alone.
And there's a lot of deeper meaning to this feeling of missing your partner. If you really start peeling back the layers, you might find yourself missing the feeling of being supported by somebody else. Missing that feeling of being wanted and feeling wanted by somebody else. You might miss what it's like to be in a partnership. Or having that validation from somebody. So really look underneath those layers and dissect what parts of your ex it is that you miss.
Yeah, you really have to process. And if you just spend all your time worrying about where they're at and what they're doing, and if they're missing you or if they're watching your social media, you're missing out on the bigger things, and you're not going to be better off 3 months later, 6 months later, or a year later. You're going to be stuck in the same place. You know, you have to work on managing the struggles in a healthy way and surround yourself with people that are going to be supportive, friends and family that are going to be there for you and encourage you. Get a therapist. Of course, we're here for coaching. You know, staying positive in an active way instead of like constantly just looking to see if they're on WhatsApp or if they're posting on Snapchat or something like that. So, you know, this time and this space is an opportunity for you to change your life. And that's what I've been saying since day one I started the channel. and focusing on having healthier, happier relationships with other people that, friends and family, and ultimately either you get back with your ex and hopefully have something healthy or somebody new.
Right. And many of you might also find that you have a lot more time on your hands than you did before. You might not have realized how much time you really spent with your ex until they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
So the space that your ex left in your life gives you space for better and new opportunities. Not necessarily with new people, but to work on yourself, to realize new things about yourself, to really invest in yourself. So that space that they left can be used for a lot of great things.
Absolutely. Missing your ex is incredibly challenging. And, on some level, whether they're going to tell you that or not, they're going to miss you. Now, not always, not every situation, but for the most part, people are going to miss you and the big impact that you had on their life. Doesn't always mean that they'll want to work it out or give it a second chance. But it's nice to know that you will leave a big impact on them for years. In fact, I've been talking to a couple of friends recently that I hadn't talked to many years, and the things that they told me, it was surprising how much they remembered. I mean, we're talking about over 20 years, and 25 years, and they say all these things to me that it was kind of like, wow, I didn't know that you felt that way or thought about me in that way. And so, people don't forget you. They remember the impact that you've had on their life.
Exactly. And I also wanted to say that the intensity of this feeling of missing your ex, it will wax and it will wane. So there will be days where you really miss your ex, where you want to be right next to them right at this very moment. And then there will be days where your mind is able to wander and think about other things, and you're able to focus on things that are happening in the present moment in your life. And so just be aware that there will be a rise and fall of these emotions, but you can get through it.
That's true. Just stay positive, keep going forward, and even if it's a little bit at a time, and keep working on yourself a little bit at a time, and it will pay off. All right. So hopefully you found this video helpful, and of course, if you want to get our help personally, you can get it at my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Of course, Coach Victoria is now available for Skype coaching.
Yes, and I look forward to speaking with you.
But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.